Hey everybody, welcome to 60 Seconds with Sandy. So for those who don't know me, just a quick introduction. I'm Sandy O'Shea. I am a sex and hormone specialist and founder of Stepping Stones Wellness. So I help people who are dealing with stress, unbalanced hormones, low libido, or a lackluster sex life rekindle the fire and enjoy their relationship again. So tonight, what are we talking about? It's about just that, rekindling that relationship when it's been too long as being a sexless one. So what happens when, it's not that difficult for it to happen. You've been together for a while, things have gotten a little stale, or somebody loses their libido, whether it's hormones that are out of whack or a relationship that you're just getting on each other's nerves. There's all kinds of things that can happen to cause a relationship to go sexless. Now, a lot of people, they love their spouse or their partner, but that fire, that spark just has disappeared. Or it could be that, one of you is going through some sort of hormonal imbalance and you've lost your sex drive. They haven't, but you just keep pushing them away and you push them away and you push them away and they finally stop approaching. So what do you do after it's been a while and you're you finally want to get back to that place where you were when in the early days when you were first together? Sorry, my tripod doesn't work very well sometimes. What do you do when you try to get back and rekindle that fire? When it's been, whether it's been a month or a year or maybe longer, where you haven't had sex with your partner, you still love them, you still like them, but it's almost like, when you've had an argument with someone and you both kind of realize that this is stupid. You should have never had that argument. What was the argument all about in the first place? But the longer the period of time goes, the harder it is to reconnect. It's almost like you want to apologize, but it's been so long that you don't know whether the other person would be receptive or not. Same thing can go in a sexual relationship too. Sometimes it's been so long and you've pushed them, especially if you've been the one who's pushed them and pushed them and pushed them away, it's really hard to go back and say, yes, I want to have sex with you. Yes, I want to have that intimacy that we used to have. Because sex and intimacy are so tightly wound together. And while you can still have a good relationship without the sex, I'm not convinced that you can have a great relationship. I honestly believe that somebody's fooling somebody, most likely themselves, when you think that you can have a great relationship with someone when there isn't that sexual component to it. Because it's sex, it's that intimate. You can't get any more intimate with someone than having a sexual relationship with them. It creates an intimacy that is like no other. And when that connection is broken, it's going to have an impact on the rest of your relationship. So how do you go about getting that rekindled again? You may not like this. Talk to each other. Somebody has to take the first step. And I don't know whether you've talked about this in the past or not, and I don't know what kind of conversations you've been having. But if you truly want to get that spark back, if you truly want to have that intimacy back with your partner, instead of being in a loveless relationship, a sexless relationship, somebody has to make the first move. And it's scary. It's scary as hell to put yourself out there and to be vulnerable on a level that is like no other. But if it's truly something that you want, and if it's truly something that your heart desires, take that first step. Get yourselves in an environment, go out for a nice dinner, have a nice dinner at home. Make sure you're alone. If there's other people in your household, send them out. Send the kids to the grandparents, send the grandparents to the kids. Just get the house to yourselves. Make a nice meal together. Have a nice bottle of wine or whatever. And outside of the bedroom, sit down and really have a conversation. Talk to each other about what happened, what went wrong, and how you're feeling now. Because I'll tell you, it's not easy, and I would be the first to tell you that this is scary as hell. It's scary and it's challenging, and it's not easy to put yourself out there. Sorry, this thing is just going nuts. It's not easy to put yourself out there and to be vulnerable. But it is so worth it. If you can open up to your partner, tell them how you're feeling, tell them what you want going forward in your relationship, you might be surprised that your partner might kind of sit there and go, oh, thank God, I have been waiting for this for so long, but I've been too afraid to open up and be vulnerable and tell you myself. They may not put those particular words, probably wouldn't, especially if it's a guy. I'm sorry, guys. Love you guys. Love you to pieces. But most of the time, men are not the ones to initiate this kind of conversation. And I'm gonna... That is a great question. Sorry, I just had a question from a viewer. What if you don't know what happened or what caused it? I would suggest that you sit down and you either agree that it doesn't matter what happened or why it happened, but that you take steps to reconnect on an intimate level. You know what? What a great opportunity to go back, even better, and do that whole newness thing. Because let's face it, when you've been together with one person for a long time, it can get a little stagnant. It can get a little, dare I say, boring, especially if you're not shaking things up a bit. You've got to, whether it's in an established relationship or a new relationship, or you're trying to reconnect with your partner, you've got to keep that sexual spark going. And yeah, sometimes it's scary and sometimes it's getting out of your comfort zone. But you got to try new things, whether it's a different position or adding something to it, whether it's a toy or a person or whatever. It's like just always, but make sure that you're both on the same page before you do anything different, okay? But as to your question, I think it's a really good opportunity to get to know each other again, to find out what kind of things on a sexual basis that your partner likes. Pretend that you're a new couple and you start with kissing. Get really, really intimate and really deep with your kissing. Graduate to oral sex with each other. Even if you're not having full-blown intercourse, touching, doing things for each other, sharing a glass of wine, touching, kissing in all kinds of cool places. That's a great way to start. And if you don't know what it is that caused the problem, maybe it wasn't that big of a problem. And maybe the issue has resolved itself. If you can't pinpoint what the issue was, rather than keeping this wall up, because we as humans are so good at putting those walls up. I know, I used to be amazing at putting walls up. Now I have no idea what a wall is. That's not entirely true, but for the most part, it's like I don't believe in walls anymore. Um, they they don't prove anything. They don't serve any purpose. So I hope that answer that gave you kind of a bit of an idea as to what you can do. Talk, because you know me, I'm big into conversation, right? Talk to each other. Make sure that see whether the other person knows what it is that happened. And if neither one of you can think of what happened to cause that break, start over. There's nothing that says that you can't start over and make it better. And pay attention to what's going on in your lives. Pay attention to when, increase your communication. If somebody's feeling neglected, speak up. The other, one of the biggest things, and especially not to play the gender thing too much tonight, but honestly, we women, we have a bad habit of taking everything personally and expecting our partners to know what we're thinking. How in the hell are they supposed to know what we're thinking if we don't communicate? So, speak up. Ladies, if you're feeling neglected because he's busy, he's stressed, he's out with the boys, he's whatever, and maybe he's just feeling neglected himself. And if you're both feeling neglected because of different things, somebody has to speak up. And does it usually fall on the women? Well, unfortunately, most of the time, yes. But it doesn't have to. So guys, listen up. Hello. If you're feeling neglected because she's being pulled in 20 different directions between, the kids and the job and the commute and the housework and the da-da-da-da-da, and the list goes on and on and on, speak up. Or offer to give her a hand. Help her with the, I know most of the guys in, kind of more recent generations, most guys are a lot better, let me tell you, a lot better at helping out with the kids, with the household chores, all that kind of stuff. They're a lot more involved than, kind of my parents' generation and older. Because the woman stayed at home and raised the family and, did the household stuff. And that was her job. Now women are working, and even if you're not, even if you're a stay-at-home mom, which I think is one of the most noble jobs on the face of the planet, life is complicated and it's challenging. And yes, I do couple meetings. Those are my favorites, actually. I love getting people together, and I am not a therapist. I'm not a psychotherapist. I'm not a sexologist. I am a holistic nutritionist by training. But I've also been through a lot. And I am an excellent listener. And I was called a shrink today by a friend of mine. Just because I sat there and I kind of listened to what this person was saying. And I've helped a few people. A lot of what I do is one-on-one, but my favorite is actually helping couples through some of the challenges, because sometimes it takes a third party to figure out what the problem is. Because sometimes when you're too close and you're involved in that situation, you can't see the forest for the trees, so to speak. And sometimes the emotions get a little too much and there's too much baggage, and sometimes we just need a third party who is separate from the whole situation, to be able to kind of sit back and go, okay, look, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to think about. This is what you need to address with each other. So yes, that was a long-winded, yes, I do. I love it. So I'm going to pop off. I hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. Um, my best piece of advice is to talk to each other. And yes, if you don't know where to start, if you've tried to have a conversation and it just isn't working, then give me a shout. You know, I'm happy to, we can set up a meeting, and we can work through this, all together. So, love you guys. I appreciate you so much. And it's really, you know, I've said this many times. If there's anything, tonight's topic was actually, I was chatting with a friend and I said, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about tonight. And she kind of jokingly said, do you want to talk about something that I'm interested in? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. And she's like, And then she said, how about reconnecting after, you know, this separation, so to speak, even though you're still together. But when it's been so long between, since the last time that you had sex with your partner, how do you get past that? How do you get back on track again? And I thought, and a light bulb went on, and I thought, perfect, absolutely perfect. That is just what I wanted to talk about. So thank you. And if you have any suggestions, if you have anything that you want to talk about, you don't have to put it in the comments. If you're uncomfortable, if you're comfortable doing it, that's awesome. I always love to get the comments back. But otherwise, please just PM me here, or you can email me at sandy@steppingstoneswellnessinc.com. I will put my email address in the comments. And yeah, we'll work it out together. And my mission is in life, I'll be honest, is to get people reconnected and have great sex again, because life is too damn short and too long not to enjoy fabulous sex. Mwah. Love you guys. Bye.